What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast. But sometimes we kind of veer a little bit off the horror path, but we still kind of stay adjacent.
We're silly like that.
Yeah, we sometimes go down the side road, and we're going to be discussing Scott Beck and Brian Woods' 65 today.
Yeah.
I think this is a movie that came out a couple of weeks ago, but now it's available. So. It's available everywhere. You can buy it or rent to buy it or buy it digitally and whatnot. So we finally had a chance to check it out. And this is one I know Buzi specifically was very, very hyped on this one.
I feel like this was catered to, like, I don't know. The pitch had to be like Turok, but in space. Which
is something we've been talking about for a while. Well, it's sort of in space, sort of not. We'll get into it. Either way, I'm very, very excited about this episode. Been having a lot of fun with you. Mm-hmm. New Metal March was a success, even though
New Metal March /April.
Yep.
But who's counting, really?
Who's counting? Yeah. Either way, the lads are back, and I guess we're just going to talk about horror movie stuff that we've seen recently.
Can I ask? Do you feel like you're not falling? Do you feel like you're standing right now?
I do feel like I'm
not
standing.
Crawling.
I feel like I've gotten out of the New Metal March /April, but it's still always going to live within us. We know that. We can never fully get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't take that away from us. You could torture us. I mean, like cock and ball torture us.
I can tell you what something 65 could have benefited from. That's some Mudvayne.
Oh, man. Well, they're working on a new album. So, yeah, they should have just delayed it and then tacked on that hip new mud. I can see that the dudes in their 50s are going to really release some slappers.
Well, maybe if they do the sequel 365, we'll get a full Mudvayne soundtrack from it. That would be very nice.
There we go. I just want to say quickly, shout out to our boy Daniel Epler of the Cobwebs podcast. Yes. Who was very sweet and nice enough to message us to tell us about Ghost Ship. And is there a
Death Ship's the other one.
Yes.
Which him and Lindsay Wilkins did an episode on, which I guess now by the time this is coming out, we're getting closer and closer to the time you'll be able to hear myself, Lindsay Wilkins, and Daniel on Cobwebs talking about The Hills Have Eyes, the original one. Mm-hmm. Something else I wanted to plug is I was recently on a podcast called Everything Went Black with Michael Hill, and he's a vocalist, guitar player of Tombs, which is like a legendary metal band, and he's become a listener of the show. And he's a great dude. He has a horror podcast of his own called Necromaniacs, which I've been binging like a mofo. But we're definitely going to have that guy on soon because he's an absolute treat. But if you haven't heard enough about me talking about myself and filmmaking, you can go and check out that episode. I was joined with Scott Hamilton, the composer of The Druid's Hand / all around badass from Ken Mode.
Hell yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed talking to those guys. I'm just feeling back on podcasting. Feeling like good.
I get it. It's we're getting close to that season where we all want to be outside, and what better time to catch a podcasting fire than right now?
Exactly. So Buzi, do you want to lead us off with something that you've seen recently?
Boy, do I ever. I've seen some random stuff, and I want to boast a little bit, and it's something I can't back up. So if you call cap on me, then whatever. I have watched more movies this month than I have in years. Just going through screeners.
Fuck yeah.
And that's also the frustrating part, because there's some great stuff that I really want to talk about and I can't. But you know that's the screener struggle.
Of course. But tell our listeners, because especially our Saskatchewan based listeners, tell us why you've been watching so many movies.
Because coming up June 2nd to 4th at the Broadway Theater, we are curating an awesome lineup of horror films for the second annual Dark Bridges Film Fest.
Yeah.
So that's all horror centric stuff. We recently were compounding the lineup of what we think we're going to have. And I'm really fucking excited. As soon as we know, I'm going to be posting about it. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
I just wanted to say that on a personal note, this is the most movie. Like I feel drained in a weird way, but also like my mind feels like Jimmy Neutron, maybe like a little like oblong shaped. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, man. No, I love to hear that. We'll have to have John and Jeff back on the show soon so that we can maybe break down the Dark Bridges lineup this year.
That would be fantastic because I think this is like a really strong year.
Yeah.
But let's talk about me in a different aspect. Let's talk about what I've watched. So the first thing is something that Mitch, you talked about the other episode, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go check this out. So I went and watched 1990s Jacob's Ladder.
Woo.
Yeah.
That was quick, and that's a heavy movie. So if you've been watching lots of stuff, I'm sure it was kind of brain numbing a little bit.
Oh, well, and I think that the good part of it for myself is that I watched this before I got real heavy into the screeners. Like I had just started, so I had like more brain capacity left. I also like that if you Google Jacob's Ladder without like putting movie in there, eventually you will get to a stepping machine that some gyms have. And just every time I see it at a gym, I laugh a little bit.
I lost some weight on a Jacob's Ladder once.
You know what I'm talking about. It's a fucking crazy good workout.
Yeah. It's like the one where you like run kind of uphill.
Yeah,
like
you're like
fours.
climbing. Yeah, you're on all fours and you have like this like safety harness.
Yep. No, it's intense stuff. Just like the film. What'd you think?
I was gonna say, yeah, just like the film. And like I had said before, I had seen bits and pieces, but this is my first viewing of it in full. And holy shit, what a heavy film. And how do I describe this in a fun way? I feel like it's being stabbed and somebody just slowly twisting the blade on you just to see what you do, right? Because it's so dark and you feel really invested in this character and what he's going through, and then trying to sort what reality you're in with him because you have this extremely unreliable narrator. And just the subtle elements of you kind of have this horror of just this guy losing himself, and then you'll have these random scenes where it's people with disfigured faces or bodies, and yeah, like I said, with the unreliable narrator, you never know what is truly going on, but it's all terrifying.
Yeah, it's dark shit.
It is very dark, and I think that how would I explain? I think that having that element of the war so close to like obviously they're talking about like the Vietnam War is what they're basing it off of. I think that it's just such strong material because it also is talking about like the subject matter is that these like people come home just absolutely broken.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a timeless story in a sense, because as sad as that is, like that shit still happens, all the time. Yeah, no, I'm happy you checked it out, because I even shout out Cody Charleston, who sent me a picture. He was on Snapchat. He was reading the Jacob's Ladder script after I had spoken about it last week. So first of all, it's just nice to hear that people are still listening.
Yeah, you're swaying people to take out watching or reading about Jacob's Ladder. I didn't watch the 2019 remake or whatever you said to not. No
one watched that. I didn't watch that either. But yeah, I don't know. That one just kind of really hit me recently, that 1990 version, and fuck, it's dark, hey?
It is so dark, and I think that there is that like timelessness to that story of just like a broken brain trying to deal with life.
Yeah, it's the scariest kind of horror in my mind. No pun intended. It's just like, yeah, the theater of the mind and what our own subconscious can lead us towards, and the things that can break us are kind of all around us. And it's just such a heavy, but it also like it just works so well because Tim Robbins is like, that was him leading up to the peak of his game, Jacob's Ladder, Shawshank Redemption. He's such an incredible actor, and he ended up doing a lot of like kind of schlocky stuff, but you just can't take away the performance in that movie and the imagery.
100%. I think that's probably one of its strongest suits, aside from just the narration itself, is when you do have those graphic scenes, they don't shy away from what they're showing you. And I think that makes the impact so much more.
Yeah, it is wild stuff. So Jacob's Ladder, do you want me to knock one off next?
Yeah,
anything else you want to say? Okay.
Nope, that's all for Jacob's Ladder.
So, I decided Saturday night I wanted to go out and see a flick, and I was like, "There's got to be some kind of horror."
You were like, "I'm gonna treat yourself."
Yeah, I was like, because I'm not gonna make a big deal of this, but you and I have talked off air, and I've had a really difficult time focusing on stuff lately. I've just had a lot going on, And I was like, just go to a movie. You always got to just visit your trusty movie theater, and you're kind of forced to just watch a flick. And I was like, something good's got to be out. Still haven't seen John Wick. Could have seen Renfield, which I hear some people I've heard it's like 5 out of 5. Others are like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And that makes me so intrigued to see it because I trust both people. Like all the people that I've heard kind of, long story
and
short,
it's part of your Nick Cage Renaissance film.
Exactly. And I do love Nick Cage, but I will admit that the trailer didn't do much for me. It just didn't kind of look like something I was in the mood for. Mm-hmm. But I decided to go see The Pope's Exorcist.
I hadn't even heard about this. I'm not going to lie.
We talked about this on the podcast. I said there's a movie. I think it was our first New Metal March movie, because this is one of the writers wrote the movie The Right with Anthony Hopkins. It's Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Russell Crowe is the Pope's Exorcist.
Okay, how's Russell Crowe looking? This is all coming back to me. How's he doing?
First of all, I'm going to say, the movie is directed by Julius Avery, who has also directed a movie that I know I really loved. I can't remember how you felt about it, but Overlord. It's the director of Overlord, and this is.
Oh wow, yeah, Overlord was really well done. I just wasn't into the story.
Yeah, I loved it. Like
I do remember you. Was that Russell?
Wyatt Russell. Kurt Russell's son.
Kurt Russell. Yeah.
But The Pope's Exorcist follows Gabriel Amort, the Vatican's leading exorcist, as he investigates the possession of a child and uncovers a conspiracy the Vatican has tried to keep a secret. So Gabriel Amort is the priest that the movie The Exorcist is based around. He's the real historical priest that Friedkin and William Peter Blatty based the book around. And there's even a really great documentary called The Devil and Father Amort, which was, I believe, directed by Friedkin. All I know is he's in it. But you know me, I'm always kind of a glutton for this kind of religious horror, and especially the stuff that's like based right in Rome and the Vatican. I'm like, oh yeah, baby, let's dig up some skeletons.
This is your monster movie, like equivalent.
Don't even, you know that, like I love monster movies, but I fall victim to this shit a lot.
But like, you're aware of like bad monster movies or like bad Sasquatch movies.
Yeah, totally. But this one, I will admit, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh boy, this does not look good. This looks rough. So I don't know why I was like, Jason, you want to go see The Pope's Exorcist tonight? And we did. And I will say, it's not that bad. Like, this movie actually has some redeemable factors about it. It was better than I was expecting. As a whole, this movie owes everything to Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is such a good fucking actor. And I know you and I, are you a fan of Russell Crowe?
I wasn't for a long time, but Unhinged really it hit home for
shout out.
It's Unhinged. Like his Taxi Driver.
I know, it's his falling down. And I knew that we were going to sing the praises of Unhinged, because I will be honest, as there were moments of this movie that, teetered on good. I still, the entire time, was just like, fuck, I can't wait to go home and watch Unhinged again. And that's a movie that I don't know anyone else who likes that movie other than us.
It's a little jewel for me. Yeah,
it is. Us. I feel like the truth is, like, it's just that movie is a fucking blast. And one of these days, the world is going to catch up to us. Everyone's going to realize that Unhinged is great.
We're going to see it in one of those like top 10 underrated movies and like a Watch Mojo list in 5 years.
It is unbelievably underrated. But The Pope's Exorcist, it's fine. I just think the movie as a whole dips a tad below mid, like just a tad below. But moments of the movie kind of border on insulting, because it's kind of just retreading the whole possession movie. This is every possession movie that you've ever seen.
I was going to say that your synopsis is like, you could just keep listing movies that are that.
Yeah, no, it's very, very much retread of a lot of other things. But you know what? Sometimes that's okay. And that's something I think is going to come up again, at least in one of the other movies I'm talking about. Sometimes familiar territory is okay. The movie looks really good. Like the setting, the set pieces, all of that just looks awesome. But bottom line is, Russell Crowe truly does steal the show. Like, I remember when I saw the trailer, I'm like, man, is he just taking a pay? Like, you can't help but feel like maybe this is just a paycheck. it absolutely was not that for him. Like, he really brought it in the movie, and he's like really charming, and
he brought his whole Russie to the
he brought the Russie. Yep. Dude, just there is multiple moments in this movie where you watch thick ass Russell Crowe, and I'm talking CC thick. Russell Crowe dressed like a priest, ripping around in a Vespa around Rome, and it justifies the price of admission. Like, me and Jason were smiling ear to ear every time it cut to the streets, and you see Russell Crowe dressed like a priest with shades on, rolling around in a Vespa, and he just looks badass. Just
I
bad
feel like
to
the
bone.
only thing better was to have been like, you didn't realize that this was being filmed, and just seeing him out in the wild doing that.
Yeah, it is. Those are by far the best parts of the movie. I really, really enjoyed those, and I low-key have them saved on my phone. I know, like, it's something I just look at when I'm want to laugh.
All right. For any Russell Crowe Vespa fans, here you go. There's a smorgasbord, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the price of admission just for that. But yeah, there's some moments that, like, the dialogue and the VFX is truly laughable. But like Jason Hamill, he did his signature burst into laughter when the Demon Boy quoted Paul W.S. Anderson's cinematic video game adaptation masterpiece Mortal Kombat. He straight up quoted Shang Tsung and says, "Your soul is mine." And that was magic. It was magic. Loved that moment. But yeah, like, the makeup effects on the possessed kid throughout the movie, like, you can even see that from the trailer. Some of it looks kind of shoddy, but by the end, man, like, the kid looked so good. Like, the makeup on him, they didn't show any of that in the trailer, but like, the makeup looked so creepy. And like, yeah, the effects team definitely crushed it on that. But just as a whole, it's fine. It's a movie that I probably will never watch again. But it really was like, it was not the disaster I was expecting it to be. And I think that's all to do with Russell Crowe's performance. Like, that dude just brings it. Like, he was not sleeping through this at all. Like, you could tell he wanted to do that. He wanted to be in that role. He was relishing in it, and he just was loving every second of it.
It's nice to hear that he's like putting effort into his films, even if they are this, which might feel like a little bit of a waste. Because he is like, he's really won me over as a really good actor, and I understand why people really liked him. I know that he kind of came from more of like an action movie background, but it's interesting to see how his career has come and twisted and turned.
Yeah, no, he's so good. And yeah, like, you know, speaking of twisting and turning, it's like every single exorcism movie that you've ever seen, all of that stuff can be found here. If you're a fan of that stuff like me, you're going to at least have some sort of fun watching this movie. I don't recommend rushing out to the theater to see it, but this is one that would be, you know, it's fine. It was fun enough. Like, I had a good enough time with it. But it gets so campy near the end. Like, it goes full blown, like, wild, dude. Like, I want you to see it so you can see how fucking crazy it gets.
Okay, I have to ask then, with that being said, how are the rules of this film in terms of like what the demon can do and not do? Is it just like free reign?
Rules. Yeah, there's no rules. It's kind of jumping between bodies at a couple parts, and
so it's just convenience horror.
Yeah, it's definitely like, because I know that, you know, a lot of like, you know, Father Amorti had written many books on like his exorcisms and his journey and like with the Vatican and, you know, playing this role. And, you know, it obviously inspired the greatest horror movie ever made, The Exorcist. But they definitely just go full blown horror movie. Like, this is like popcorn, crowd pleasing horror.
It's like a Blumhouse.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how to comment on that. It's just very, very middle of the road horror. But it was fine. It was definitely okay.
All right, so we got a mid review on that.
I could have gone and saw, like, I should have. All I could think about, like, why the fuck didn't I go see John Wick 4? Like, I know I'm gonna love that movie, but
maybe you didn't have 4 extra hours.
That's exactly it. I was like, I don't know if I can sit in a theater for that long right now with the way my brain is.
Yeah, that's a lot of distracting in one sitting.
Pope's Exorcist did the trick. Definitely did the trick. But I really want to go see Renfield, especially after seeing, because the trailer did nothing for me. But
yeah, me either. I was hoping it would at least be like funnier and kind of like What We Do in Shadows. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, apparently I've just heard it's extremely violent, and I love Nick Cage, so I'm definitely going to try and get out to that one.
I appreciate you've been a Nick Cage fan from the get-go, so you've been rolling with him. Yeah, before it was cool.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, do you want to give me another one?
Oh yeah, I got lots this week.
Good stuff. Me too. I got 3 more.
I do as well. Okay, so this is my first one, or my next one. This is on Tubi, Canadian and American Tubi, if you want to check this out. From 2015, it's a body horror film called Bite, and it's directed by Chad Archibald. So it's about a woman who goes on vacation for her bachelorette party and gets bit on the butt while she's sitting on a toilet. I'm not joking, which is a terrible fear of, I think, a lot of people, that like a giant bug or like a snake will like attach themselves.
That's why I don't go to Australia.
Yeah. Okay. That's a real fear though, right? Like, have you thought about that? Like there would be like an invasive thing just crawling up your butt.
Mm-hmm. It's like reverse dream catcher.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember the dream catcher slugs shooting out the butt?
So yeah, this is directed by Chad Archibald. He's a Canadian boy. This is a Canadian film. And it basically, so once this woman gets home from being bitten, she's complaining about her bug bite, and it progressively gets worse and worse, and things start happening that are more and more strange. I guess the closest thing that is very apt in comparison is this is kind of like a Canadian lower budget version of The Fly. They have a lot of ideas that you see in The Fly that they kind of have their own twist on. And I actually really enjoyed this film. I think it did a great job just being gross with the body horror effects. I know that's very hard to do, especially when you're working with maybe a smaller budget, but I think they did a great job in just being really fucking gross. So they have like a couple scenes, and you know how much I love body horror. Like towards the end, there's some really good, like I would say, like kind of like cocooning scenes, and there's like some melting stuff in here. It's very much like if you like The Fly, not saying this is as good as The Fly, but it's a fun body horror type film that I think some people might get some enjoyment out of. So
sweet. Yeah, I've seen the poster for this one a lot, but I've never clicked play. I haven't heard much about it.
I'd seen it on a list, and it was the same thing for me. It was one that had kind of passed by a couple of times, and then I saw someone recommend it, so it's like, yeah, I'll give it a try.
Nice, sweet. All right, so that's Bite from 2015, and you said it was on Tubi.
Correct.
Awesome. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about was very, very good. This is a new movie that it came out in January of this year, and it's finally available for rental. So I gave it a watch yesterday. I am talking about Missing. Have you heard about Missing?
I haven't. Missing. All right, I'm intrigued already.
Yes, this is one that I definitely know you're going to dig. It's not straight up horror by any means, definitely not. But like movies, like I've been saying for a while that I can't stand technology in movies, and like movies that have like scenes where texts are popping up or various websites typing sounds. But at the end of the day, I realize I'm like, all the movies I'm about to name like this, I really like the Unfriended movies, Searching,
yes.
Host. Have you seen Searching?
Yes, I actually went and saw that in theater.
Right, you loved that one.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good film.
Yeah, no, it's a good.
I totally agree with you about we've had this conversation obviously, but the technology thing being kind of bothersome, and it's like, oh god, here we're watching this bullshit again, and somebody. But then
you end up getting a good movie like Unfriended or Searching,
exactly,
or Host. Yeah, and
Unfriended is its own little thing with that, but yeah, I really like Unfriended too.
I think this is the best one out of all of them.
Really?
And as far as I'm pretty sure it's in like the Searching universe. Like there's
the search verse.
There's like people who are involved with Searching who are involved with this one, but yeah, the directors.
It says it's a sequel.
Okay, is that what it is?
Bloody I'm sorry, I'm just looking through pictures here and it says Missing is a sequel to Searching.
Yeah, and it makes and right on the cover it says from the minds behind Searching. Okay, so yeah, it is very much like Searching.
Okay, so it is like a search verse.
Exactly. And I personally like this one way more than Searching. And Searching was good. But I really, really dug this one. It stars Storm Reed. Storm Reed is so good in this movie. Tim Griffin, Nia Long. Either way, yeah, this is a movie where the synopsis is after her mother goes missing, a young woman tries to find her from home using tools available to her online. So it is one of those screen movies. Like I said, I shit on those and then I go, wait a minute, I like all these movies. But yeah,
they're guilty until proven innocent in your mind.
This movie is exceptionally edited. The movie, like the editing in this movie, is truly fucking boggling how well it's all put together, and it's just a truly intense experience. I mean, it worked for me very, very well. Like I said, I think the lead Storm Reed is fantastic, and the twists and turns work. And by the end of it, I was kind of like sweating in my bed. I've had trouble focusing on things over the last couple of weeks, and this is the one that really cracked it for me. Like I was glued to the screen while I was watching it. I'm watching a bunch of Zoom videos and like someone searching up online, and it's like these are all things that I should theoretically not like. But the story is just so well put together. Like I said, the twists and turns, like you can't really ever tell where it's going. And I don't want to spoil anything. I just think it's one that is definitely worth a look this year. If you haven't seen it, it's like, it's not a horror movie. It's more of a thriller. There's moments that kind of delves into like, oh, is this going to take a horror turn? And, depending what your definition of horror is, it does go that route. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fucking good.
I'm definitely, I can't believe I didn't like hear anything about this, didn't see a trailer. I'm definitely going to check this out, especially if now we're getting, this is the universe that I want. I want the Missing verse. That's a universe I'll chuck my wagon behind.
I want another Unfriended.
I want another Unfriended if it goes back to how the first one was.
And I want more Dark Web. I fucking love Dark Web. They're both fun, but yeah, I dug Dark Web even more. And yeah, I don't know, this one, it's obviously a little more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool movie. So that's Missing. Definitely recommend.
All right, I'll definitely, that's going on the list and I'll check that out.
Peep Game.
I'll peep Game right after I watch Pacifier. All right, so the next one I checked out. This one's a classic. This is a retro that I'd heard a little bit about this, but never bothered to check it out. And I'm glad I finally did because it's bizarre and it's cool. So I checked out 1974's Deranged, also known as Deranged: Confessions of a Necrophile, from 1974.
Dude, this movie has been on my list for years and I've never seen it. This is one about Ed Gein, right?
Correct. This is one about Ed Gein. They obviously take a couple liberties with it, but it's very, very similar, even to the point where they have a narrator at the start who tells you that it's based off of that and kind of pops in now and again to tell you a little bit about what's going. It gives you like a little bit of extra story. It's very interesting because they play it as like a detective who is like on the scene, but then it just goes back to being like an actual film. It's very cool that way. Anyway, very cool practical effects. I was blown away by this. I wasn't expecting a ton. I was just like, okay, this is kind of this is your old school thriller slasher, which is what we like. This is in your Black Christmas Texas Chainsaw wheelhouse. And yeah, very cool. I think that who's the main guy? I can't remember his name.
Ezra Cobb.
Yes, Robert Blossom is fantastic in this. He is an excellent Ed Gein. He is truly deranged in this, and all the extra dialogue that they have in here and how he plays this character is just like the obsessed killer. It is very, very cool. And I have to give so many props to the practical effects. I wasn't expecting a ton, and then it cuts right to a scene of like him grave robbing and then actually like using a hacksaw to like cut open somebody's skull and start rooting around in their brain. And it looks so good.
Yummy, yummy.
Yeah, oh, delicious. Anyway, this fantastic film, it turns itself into kind of a silly slasher by the end, where it's the classic women screaming and running around in circles with the guy chasing with a knife. But there's a lot of really cool imagery and scenes in here. I definitely think that you should check it out. I think a lot of people should check this out. This seems like a very a building block slasher that maybe has been a little bit lost to time. And you see so much of watching this, so much of it reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw. Like they have so many similarities.
Yeah, see, that makes me more interested in seeing it. And it's like, I like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, but it's like a movie I never want to watch, like ever. And I, for some reason, thought that it might go more that route or like angst. But it looks like it was on a double feature DVD with Motel Hell, which is an absolute blast.
Isn't that Gordon Ramsay's show also called Motel Hell?
I think it's
Hotel Hell?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Man, have you not seen Motel Hell? Because you would love Motel Hell.
I think that's so, yeah.
Like with the pig mask?
No, I haven't.
Dude, yeah, we got it. Okay, so we'll do an episode on that. Maybe that'll be like our Greasy Summer series. We'll do like a summer slasher.
Greasy Summer.
Greasy Summer slasher.
Slimy.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna peep game on Deranged.
Yeah, I think the one thing I will say that maybe lets it off a little bit in terms of separating itself from the actual, we always talk about like watching slashers that kind of glorify the killer itself. Not that way back then they were as worried about that sort of thing, but they did a good job of when he's actually like attacking the women, it's kind of more goofy. It feels like the real serious stuff they hold off for when he's talking to his corpses or the voices in his head. So yeah, I'd definitely check this out. Feels like a little bit like Texas Chainsaw, a little bit like Psycho, lands somewhere in that range. And obviously don't expect either of those. There's a reason this was lost to time in comparison to those, but this is definitely something you should check out.
No, for sure. I'm definitely way more interested in seeing it now, hearing you talk about it that way. Cool. Yeah, maybe we'll revisit in the summertime. The next one,
I'm interested to hear what you think of this. Yeah.
I'm sure I'll like it, Max. I like, also I was just looking on IMDb, and it's like movies like this, and it's like Pieces. You've seen, like, I did an episode on Pieces with Jeff Thiessen and Johnny Pander. My name's Jeff. And Pieces is fucking amazing. If you haven't seen that, like, you got to put Pieces at the top of your list. But yeah, it looks like it's compared to that movie quite a bit. All right, so the next one I'm going to talk about is one that I haven't heard you talk about, but I saw on Letterboxd when I logged it that you've seen this. So it is another 2023, or I guess 2022, but technically everyone's able to see it in 2023. Movie written and directed by Robbie Banfitch, The Outwaters.
You know what? That's right. I think that it might have landed in a period where like we hadn't recorded in a while, and I thought I had talked about it already, but I hadn't. So fuck yeah, let's crack this one out. Let's
do this one together. So I like that, dude. I went from haven't been able to watch like anything over a couple of weeks, and then yesterday I watched 4 movies, and I was like, I woke up this Monday morning, like that was yesterday, and I was like, fuck me, my soul needs those days where I just watch horror movies, because I feel so much better today. And like that's what I was fired up to podcast, is just watching movies just gives me life. And I haven't been able to do it recently. So anyways,
you just woke up rock hard.
That's exactly it. And I decided to put on, actually 65 was the first one I started with yesterday. But yeah, then I went to The Outwaters. So this one is a found footage horror flick about 4 travelers encountering menacing phenomena while camping in a remote stretch of the Mojave Desert. So this is one that has been getting a ton of, I don't know if I'd say acclaim. Like I think there's a lot of people who have really, really loved it. It's had the Skinamarink effect. And I think for good reason. You can understand why this movie is being compared to Skinamarink in a lot of ways. But it's an experimental found footage movie. It's effective, but understandably annoying for a lot of people to watch. I know, like, I'm not going to be rushing out to see this one again anytime soon, but I commend the style of found footage where they kind of, it sounds like I'm making fun of it here, but I'm not, but where they shake the camera for an hour and cover up their budget.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with this movie, it kind of works like Skinamarink, But the thing is, Skinamarink got under my skin, and it shook me with like the tiny semblance of a premise that it actually did have. Like with Skinamarink, you're waking up in the middle of the night in your childhood home, yada yada yada. We've talked about that movie a lot. But like Skinamarink, the sound design in this movie is the true star. I think the sound design is fucking amazing in this movie. But the Outwaters, on the other hand of Skinamarink, it's just purely style and artistic expression, and seemingly nothing more than that. So there's like a series of like indistinguishable sequences that are equally unsettling as they are annoying in my eyes. Like there's moments where I'm like, I get what you're doing, and like parts of it's like it starts working for me, and then I'm like, all right, but where are we going? This is an hour and 50 minutes. Like I need to know what I'm looking at here. And they're not really interested in showing you that. It's just moments of pure chaos where you can only see like an inch of the screen. I guess I'm eager to hear what you thought.
Yeah. The more you talk about this and me thinking about it again, because it has been a minute since I watched it, it does remind me that, and I was really excited to watch this. This had been on my like watch list for a while, and I was waiting for it to come out in VOD because it looked right up our alley. It's, it obviously, first off, it's found footage, which like I'm sold on, and I heard a lot of good stuff about it. So going and watching it, I felt fairly disappointed with it too. It is very long, especially for a found footage, and you're right, it does the classic thing. We've talked about this even with another comparison for found footage is the like running around in a forest at night. Which
the Blair Witch is one of our favorite movies of all time, but like right. That was the Blair Witch.
But you know what, you need to have a little bit more payoff, a little bit more story there, and I think that I agree. It became like very artsy running around, which is fantastic for like, especially for like found footage, to have something that has a little bit of stylisticness within it. That's something that's, I wouldn't say easy to do either. Like there's that it's a special thing to make it not look like shit. And even when it is that like shaky back and forth, that it, you're still comprehensive and can feel where it's going. It just overall it did feel like I felt empty after watching it. Like I wanted a little bit more conclusion, and maybe I obviously it's engineered for me to maybe not get that, but
it's just weird that I loved Skinamarink so much, and it might have just been my mood, but I didn't see Outwaters in the theater. I kind of wish I did, but at the same time, it's like I have a pretty decent sound system at home, and like you've seen my TV. I got a decent TV, and I still like. I wouldn't say that I definitely didn't hate it. It's just for me, it's so comparable to Skinamarink, and my allegiance is so heavily with that one. Like that one really actually affected me. I know. I'm pretty sure you actually like Outwaters more than Skinamarink.
Yes, but I did not like either of these tremendously, but I really did not like Skinamarink. And
and that's understandable. But it's experimental filmmaking. I did like where they were going with it, but I would like a story as well. And it's not really there. And maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I didn't pick up on it, but I don't think that that's the case, because it's a lot of it like. That's the thing, though. I want to quickly keep shouting out the sound design, though, because there were moments where I'm like, holy fuck, this movie's getting crazy. And I couldn't wait to see where it was going to, end up. And by the time it ended, I'm like, I felt the same way I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
I knew just as much.
I don't know if it's a reach for me to compare these, but I'm kind of going off of more like how I felt after watching these. It felt a lot like The Endless for me. Like I was so excited for something that just it never came for me, and maybe that's not the best example, but it probably works for your personal feelings. But The Endless is so much better. And I can understand why you wouldn't like that one either. But that one is like I see the correlations that you're making though, like the desert and the kind of trippy nature of it. But yeah, like I don't know, I just kind of just wanted a story. Yeah,
call me old fashioned.
Well, as long as you don't call them late for dinner. Well, I hate that I made that joke.
No, I love it.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it is your
I
turn.
think it is my turn. Okay, so the last one I want to talk about is a psychological horror comedy TV show. That's what I want to end with. So I binged the fuck out of this. I watched the entire show like less than 12 hours. Like
It's
I
Love is
watched
Blind, isn't it?
man, everybody's obsessed with that show. Which is also Love is Blind is one of the funniest things for like when they actually meet each other. Some of the dumb shit of people
oh my
trying to
God.
get out of telling people they love them.
I am such a glutton for it.
I think a lot of people are. That's why they're on season 4 after what, like 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, back to this. This is directed and created by Janine Neighbors and Donald Glover. I watched Swarm.
Oh man, is the whole thing out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
7 episodes.
I've been wanting to watch this. I haven't heard anything about it.
So this is a fictional telling of a young woman who's obsessed with a pop star. They allude to it quite a bit, but the pop star is obviously like a Beyonce type character, and she has this rabid fan base that's called the Swarm, which is akin to like the Bay Hive for Beyonce. I didn't know about a lot of this, so I had to like Google it after to figure this out. But apparently Beyonce has like a violent fan base that are like rabid. But yeah, it takes kind of this concept of like the obsession with Hollywood and fame and these people, these celebrities who, at the end of the day are people. They're not gods. They're not, they're not Yeezuses. They're just fucking
other than
people.
Kurt Russell.
Sorry, I don't mean to be sacrilege. Other than Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just, it gets really fucking dark. It's kind of a slasher at times. It's a big time psychological thriller. It's deep. It's gross. I know I've talked to a couple people who honestly like dipped out of it because it has a very dingy portrayal of life for so many of these characters. And yeah, it's gross at times. It's but
you liked it.
Oh my God, it was really good. It was binge worthy. Like I haven't binged something like that since like the second season of Mindhunter.
Damn.
Yeah, it's just really, really good TV. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. Usually I'm kind of a person who falls behind on TV shows.
Yeah.
But this one, I just was like, okay, the next episode has to play. And you're just, as this character that you're following gets more and more fucking strange. It is wild.
Man, I love to hear that. Love to hear it. I'm gonna watch it. I thought it was coming out like week to week. I was gonna wait until it was all done to binge, but if it's all there, then fuck yeah.
Yeah, I just turned on Amazon one day and it just kept playing, and I was like, yeah, give that to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Sick, man. Alrighty. Last one I'm going to talk about is another 2023 movie. I didn't even realize these are all brand new movies that I'm talking about today.
Man, you're crushing the new year. New year, new you.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I think I'm just trying to get a head start so that I don't fall behind. I always like to keep up, especially on the indie circuit stuff. I don't even know what you'd call this, if it's indie circuit or not, but this is a new movie on Netflix called Blood.
Blood.
It's in you to drink. Yeah. Blood, like the game.
West Coast. I'm the doctor's advocate.
What's Blood about? I know nothing about Blood.
All right, so the synopsis of Blood is Jess, a separated mother and nurse, moves with her daughter and young son Owen back into their old farmhouse. Shortly after settling in, Owen is bitten by the dog, resulting in a mysterious infection from the bite.
This sounds great.
It sounds straight up like Buzi stuff. Guess who directed this bad boy? Brad Anderson of Session 9 fame.
Fuck
so this
off.
is the director of Session 9 and The Machinist, and Trans-Siberian. The film stars Michelle Monaghan, who I think is always great, and our boy Skeet Ulrich.
The original Skeeter.
Yeah, Skeet. Billy Loomis himself.
Yeah. And it also stars Finley Wojtek Hisong.
Yeah, so he's Owen. Finley.
Oh, this looks great.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear what you think of it, because I I think it's definitely something that you'll enjoy. This one, yeah.
Is this an American film or no?
It is, yeah. It was written by Will Honley, who wrote Escape Room 2, which I never watched Escape Room 2, but I remember
we did like Escape Room.
We fucked with the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Like those were dark times, but we fucked with the first one. He also wrote Bloodline with Sean William Scott. I don't know if you ended up watching that one. It's a serial killer movie. I think you really liked Bloodline. Okay.
I don't. We've watched so many things. It's hard.
Yeah. And The Hive from 2014, which I believe was the first feature of David Yarovesky, who went on to direct Brightburn. But yeah, this is I hesitate to call it a vampire movie because I don't really know.
That's what I was going to ask right off the bat. Is like, is this a vampire movie?
It's okay. So it's very much like My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, Let the Right One In, where like not in tone.
Things you love.
Yeah, I do love both. I love both those things. I will say like I like both of those movies more than this, but I still quite enjoyed Blood. Like to me, this is like the kind of perfect Sunday morning, afternoon horror drama. Mm-hmm. It's predictable and it's nothing that you haven't seen before, but that's, like I said before, it's not always a bad thing. And it's just really well acted. Like Michelle Monaghan is she's such a force on screen, and she really is. Yeah. I appreciate her. Anytime she's on screen, I'm not upset. She always does it. She puts her whole everything into it. She puts in the work. Yeah. And honestly, the two kids, Finley Wojak Hissong and Skylar Morgan Jones, they play her and Skeet Ulrich's kids. The movie picks up where Skeet Ulrich and her are going through a breakup. You know, he's staying in their old home. She's moving back into the home that they started their life at, and it wasn't as lavish, and it's like a kind of a dingy farmhouse. But you start to see that she struggled with a bit of addiction in some ways, which, these are all themes that you tend to see in vampire movies over and over and over again. But it's like such fertile ground for that. Like I'm certainly not knocking it, like I think there's a reason why people, comment on that kind of stuff so much with this type of horror movie. But it's not your generic like vampire movie, like where like I'm pretty sure like there's nothing with sunlight. He's not scared of garlic, but
right. The classic Draculaisms.
Exactly. But he gets bitten by this dog, and he just kind of develops a need for blood. So that's where it does fall into like, it was hard for me as someone who like, clearly I love My Heart Can't Beat so much. But a lot of it is like, going out and finding how she's going to keep her kid alive, and if she should
the
keep her kid alive.
Justification of that.
But it's still like, it's well done. The poster on IMDb, I don't know if you're looking it up right now. Some of the imagery for this looks so cool. But do you see the poster of the kid with the red eyes in the background? Yeah, that person should lose their job. The movie's much better than that. It looks like a producer was like, it needs to look more like 28 Weeks Later. 28 Weeks. Yeah, I don't know. Also, the dog is giving me a little bit of Goosebumps intro dog. Goosebumps. That's it. Yeah, big time. But no, it's, for me, this is just like, it's a perfectly middle of the road movie. I definitely kept my attention the whole time. I would recommend it. Like if you're looking for something that you can, just kind of let pass over you, and it's certainly not lacking in any mood. It's got tons of mood. But I just think, the performances really take this one to a whole other level. It could be one of those movies that like, it's kind of predictable, but by the end of it, I was kind of shocked at some of the areas they went. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but I definitely want to check this out. Just kind of looking at some of these images, aside from the funny poster, this looks pretty cool. It looks like it has its own mood to it. So I definitely want to check that out. I have to ask, how's the Skeet Ulrich factor? Is he looking handsome as ever? Does he look good as a divorcee? He plays the divorcee very fucking well. Yeah. And I like Skeet Ulrich. But to me, like, Skeet Ulrich next to Michelle Monaghan, that's a tough call, because like she's so good, and I'm not saying he's not, but he's always just kind of been Billy Loomis to me. And then, I never watched Riverdale, but he plays a big role in Riverdale, and he's making kind of a comeback. We see him in the last two Scream movies. I'm a fan of his, but But yeah, no, he does the job. But like
I'm-
that, I think the kid is really solid in it. And yeah, Michelle Monaghan, she's always great. I think this is one that you're gonna dig, Boozy.
This is immediately on my watch list. It's hanging out there with the pacifier.
Awesome. In good company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I watched. But man, there's been so much stuff has happened in horror recently. Like there's been lots of things that people have been talking about, and it's just been kind of making me think about something that I don't know, man. Do you think maybe we should talk about some news?
You know, it's been a hot minute since we've talked about the news at all. And
Boozy, should you hit me with the motherfucking newsy?
let's fucking go.
What?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first Boozy's Newsies in what, like 2 years?
It's got to be like 2 years.
Christ.
Feels good to
Anyway,
be back.
It feels so good to be back. Anyway, I just want to say welcome to Boozy's Newsies. Take it away, Mitch.
Yeah, so I'm going to lead us off with our articles because there is lots of stuff to talk about, but I think we should
There sure is.
let's lead off with I'll announce what we're going to talk about, and then
Mhm.
you lead us off with your thoughts.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
first up, The Last Voyage of the Demeter by Andre Overdahl has dropped. The trailer has dropped, and the film is set to be released on August 11th. So Boozy, what are your thoughts on The Last Voyage of the Demeter trailer?
Okay, so I know we've discussed this. We've had to have discussed this on the show before because I've been so excited for this ever since I saw that Andre Overdahl, like what he was doing next, and then the brief synopsis off of one line from an Anne Rice book is it had my heart pumping. So when the
I think
trailer,
The only thing that I'll touch on there is I think it's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
sorry, Brand, I don't know why I said Anne Rice.
We got Anne Rice on the mind from Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, I wasn't hungry for rice. I was just too stoked. Anyway, yeah, seeing the trailer, I think it's exactly what I was hoping it would be. It kind of feels honestly like a vampire version of like Alien 3, this kind of like cat and mouse game. I know I'm really wild with comparisons. Anyway, this looks so cool. Yeah, it's this idea of just having this crew transporting a vampire across
Yeah.
uncharted water in the 1800s. Dracula. And it's just, yeah, it looks fantastic. I think the casting is great. I can't remember the one dude.
Dr. Dre. It's Dr. Dre from Straight Outta Compton. Corey Hawkins.
That's not who I was thinking of. But
Liam Cunningham. You're
Liam
thinking of
Cunningham is
from Game of Thrones.
and Dog Soldiers.
Yes, Dog Soldiers and David Dashelman. I think that's how you say it. Like he's in another
Mhm.
trailer we're going to be talking about today. But yeah, this thing's stacked.
Yeah, it just they showed quite a bit, and it all just I was there for all of it. I the only thing maybe I'm a little bummed out about is we're gonna get a dog death, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, I can't wait for this. I think it's gonna be a great cat and mouse game. I love the little nods to having, there's some depth even in the trailer. You look at the recurring knocking, being they're like all good and stuff like that. It's just even little things like that. It's like, okay, those are those little beats in the film that are going to pay off for you, or
big
should
time.
pay off for you. You know what I mean? Those are your fun beats. So
Yeah.
I'm over the moon excited for this.
For sure. Yeah, I think we're all big fans of Andre Overdahl over at the Terror Table here with the Troll Hunter, Autopsy Jane
Mhm.
Doe. I really enjoyed Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I can't remember. Were you a fan of that one?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot. Yeah, not to be a punny here, but like it was actually scary. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, no, I dug that one quite a bit. And I don't know, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this one on the podcast is I've seen like so much vitriol thrown at this trailer, and there's
It's 'cause of
only
Smashing Pumpkins, right?
dude, that's the only part. Like the trailer is so strong, but yeah, obviously we're living in a world where every movie trailer needs to have a classic. I hesitate to call Smashing Pumpkins song a classic, but all these like very well known songs are slowed down, And that's like
it's like the reverb Nirvana bullshit.
they did that in Unhinged, in the Unhinged trailer. Yeah.
Why the song doesn't fit with the subject? It doesn't fit overall. I don't care if you slow it down and make it all spooky. Also, why have we never got a spooky version of 1979?
That's true.
Spook that one up.
Yeah, that one's better. Yeah, I think obviously
it's a better song too.
The very obvious thing is, I will say, like, I think the movie looks great. Like, I'm going to be there opening day. This is totally my shit. Like, I love the ship like setting. Yeah, and like the contained vessel where there's a vampire aboard, and then we see that the vampire is going to be like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, we're going to see a monster. That I'm stoked about. But my eyes did roll complete 180 in the back of my head when you hear fucking Billy Corgan, "The world is a vampire." Oh my god. Like that nearly killed it, but that shows how solid the trailer looks to me. Like, I'm all for it, man. I'm stoked for this movie. Love that guy's shit.
Yeah, and I think just overall, like I've said so many times, just the story idea itself and the elements that can be put into that, like endless possibilities for it to be a cool. You're gonna have to really fuck up for this to not be a really cool fucking movie.
Exactly. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm stoked for it.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to that. One I actually didn't have on the list for Boozy's Newsies, but completely forgot about it. But I feel like we should talk about it if you've seen it. I'm not sure if you have. Have you seen the trailer for Talk to Me yet?
No, I haven't.
So Talk to Me is the new A24 movie, which was directed by Danny Filippo and Michael Filippo. And I guess they're like YouTubers. But this movie is like said to be the scariest movie A24 has ever made. And
really?
Dude, the trailer looks awesome. I think it looks so good.
Okay.
You'll have to watch it after we finish up, because
I'm gonna cue that up.
Without a doubt, I can already just tell, it doesn't take a lot to say this, but like, this is going to be the movie that everyone's going to be gaga about this year. Talk to Me. It's the synopsis of it is when a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. The movie looks fucking dope.
That idea alone is kind of like Flatliners, but with a monkey paw.
Yeah, it's very monkey's paw.
We went too far.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one that it's getting. The early word is that it's tremendous. So that one comes out July 28th. So I'm so excited for that. Like, there's tons of really cool horror movies coming out this year. So Talk to Me looks dope. The Last Voyage of the Demeter looks dope. Breaking it up, we're going to come back to one more trailer, but some other news is Blumhouse is remaking the 2022 Danish horror film Speak No Evil. James McAvoy is set to star. James Watkins, who directed The Woman in Black, and Eden Lake is set to direct, and it's due out August 9th, 2024. So you never saw Speak No Evil, right?
No, I didn't.
That was one that just like narrowly missed my list last year for top 10. Like, that was the feel bad movie of the year. Like, it's so depressing. Yeah, it's very funny games. When I saw that they were remaking, I'm like, first of all, why? That movie's less than a year old at this point. But James McAvoy's great. I'm interested to see what he'll do with the material. And the fact that it's directed by the guy who made Eden Lake, that gives me a little bit more hope, because Eden Lake is right up there with funny games.
A very strong offering.
It's so fucked up. And the movie Speak No Evil is very fucked up, but we do be in that world where movies that are less than like what's the other thing that they're remaking already? Oh yeah, they're trying to get David Fincher to remake Squid Game already.
What?
And it's just it's driving me nuts, drives me crazy.
Oh man, like it wouldn't. Nothing against Fincher at all. Obviously, he's a fucking genius, but it wouldn't fit. I just
want to see him
see it.
Yeah. As long as we keep him out of Mank territory, we're good.
I want to take a gun and go to his house and threaten him and be like, make Mindhunter season 3.
I'm pretty sure he wants to make Mindhunter season 3 too. That's one of the dumbest things that we have to deal with in this day and age, is that we're not going to get a Mindhunter season 3 right away. It makes just no sense. But
it hurts. It does hurt.
Yeah.
I'm going to toss in a little bit of news here on a personal note as well, because I hope that it doesn't take as long as this did to get another season. Like, I hope Mindhunter doesn't take as long, but you should, if you haven't yet, checked out the trailer for Clone High season 2.
What? Clone High is coming back?
Yeah, I mentioned this before. My brother-in-law is one of the artists for it. But yeah, check it out. Even the trailer looks hilarious. He said it was wild to work on, and it's very funny. So,
it's about time. We got Beavis and Butthead back after all these years, and that was a gift.
Right? Like,
yeah, we just need undergrads.
And well, hey, that's very true. But we also did get Alvin and the Chipmunks, and it was good.
Chipwrecked? Or wait, no, you're thinking of Rescue Rangers.
Rescue Rangers. Yeah.
Which
the other
was
Chipmunks.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Speak No Evil, the remake it's coming at you. Next one is another trailer. The Boogeyman, directed by Rob Savage, received a second trailer, and it is set to release June 2nd. This movie has tested through the fucking roof. I don't know if you saw The Boogeyman I think we talked about this on the last episode. That shows how bad our memories are. But there was a Boogeyman movie from like 2004 that was just so bad. But this one, it's testing through the roof. Apparently, it's just absolutely fucking amazing. And it's written by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who are the writers and directors behind 65. But they also, wrote the original Quiet Place and that Carnival movie Haunt, which was really cool. But Boogeyman, what you just watched the trailers. What do you think?
I did. I'm fresh off of watching the Boogeyman's trailer. That looks so cool. I think this is totally up our alley. Yeah. Just watching. I'm gonna take some wild swings on comparisons again, because apparently this is my episode to do this. It looks very much like a Lights Out, a Darkness Falls almost of this. Yeah, just this. What would you call a night entity?
It's like good old supernatural horror in a house.
Yeah, it's that classic. You turn the lights off going up the stairs, and you have to run really fast because it's dark behind you, and something's going to grab you. There's like some cool monstery vibes to this. I love the creepy, crawly, spindly kind of boogeyman. I get literally booger man. What do you think, Mitch? Like, I think this looks fantastic.
I was on board just from hearing about the I can't remember where I heard it, but then I know there's articles that have come out since that like they did screen this one to test audiences, and it was one of those ones where it was like originally gonna go to VOD, and then it was like the last time this happened was Smile, which was, I'd like to think was a surprise for most of us.
I think so too. Yeah, I definitely I feel bad like not shit talking at the start, but not like
you didn't shit talk it, but
not saying enough good things, because it actually was like pretty cool, and the monster at the end, like, a lot definitely of good above stuff in that.
Yeah, definitely above average, but just the thing that keeps coming back to me about Smile is the ending of Smile. Like, I'm like, the fact that it's not every day that we get mainstream horror movies that swing that fucking hard. Actually follow through with what the actual vision was, which is something very bleak and disturbing.
Well, totally. And especially for something that really did have this presentation of being just kind of that like generic Blumhouse offering that just comes out, every couple months. They have to have something like that.
Exactly. And
it exceeded expectations in that regard.
Yeah. And I'd like to think, like, obviously we like a lot of Blumhouse movies here, but they're just generally known to be the company that puts out that YA horror that might not always hit for us, now aged horror fans.
I guess I kind of I broad stroke that, just kind of being that like the truth or dares is, exactly. Blumhouse will drop those for the horror community, and maybe that's more what I'm akinning it to.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm stoked for the Boogeyman. I think we'll definitely need to be dropping an episode as soon as that one comes out. We got to get back to. I like that we're just doing 65 today, because for a while there we would just do every new horror movie. And of course I like that we go back in time and check out other stuff, but it's fun.
And there's so many.
Exactly.
And, not all of them are fantastic.
Yeah, no, exactly. Awesome. So yeah, Boogeyman out June 2nd. This one's quick. I don't know much about it. I just saw the headline. This is classic Boozy's Newsies, where we just talk about the headline.
We're like, I don't know.
But Hell House LLC Origins has begun filming.
I'd kind of seen something about. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I know we weren't big. I never saw the third one.
I was not a big fan of the third one.
No.
I think just because it was like so ambitious and expanded, it told too much. Like the first one did a great job of like giving you stuff but being kind of vague about it, and even the second one I thought was pretty okay. But yeah, the third one was.
Yeah. I haven't even seen it, so I can't comment on that. But I know that you and I were both pleasantly surprised with the original Hell House
I think
LLC.
One is really, it's creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy.
Genuinely creepy.
Yeah, so that there's another Hell House coming our way. And the last thing I have for this edition of Boozy's Newsies, we don't know if this is ever going to come back again. I'm sure it'll come back, but it's just fun to revisit it because it's been a long time.
We brought it back from its coffin.
Exactly.
Much like a Renfield.
Yes. The last one I have is definitely kind of more so for me. I got a soft spot for this franchise.
Right.
A very big soft spot. Insidious: The Red Door trailer drops April 20th. First of all, 420, bro.
Yeah. It'll be more like the Green Door.
This is set. I love that. This is set to be the final installment in the franchise, which but what makes me curious about this one the most is that this final installment is directed by Patrick Wilson, who plays he plays the lead in the whole Insidious franchise. I think aside from he wasn't in 3 or 4, so he's been in 50% of them.
Well, I mean, still, he has a pretty big claim to that anyway. Did he not direct a couple scenes before?
I don't know if he definitely hasn't directed any of the movies.
No. I thought he had maybe directed a scene or something, but that I might be misremembering that. That's very interesting, especially somebody who is, even though they're only in 50% of them, kind of an anchor of the franchise overall. And maybe who would be better to do it than someone who's used to walking in those shoes and portraying that.
Exactly. And I know, like, one of the things I know just from, I got a big soft spot for those Insidious movies, and I know a lot of
love when they whip out the guitar and they sing a ditty.
That's exactly it. Yep. But no, this one, it's also written by Lee Winnell and Scott Teems, who I believe Lee Winnell, written all of them at this point. But I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm cautiously optimistic. I know you hated the fourth one. I didn't hate it, but I liked it probably a lot more than I thought I was going to. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they tie this franchise up.
Because I know I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I've stuck with this franchise the whole time. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see it.
I think the biggest takeaway might be like, let's see what Patty Wilson does here. Like, maybe he'll be throwing out some other stuff. Maybe we have a new horror juggernaut in the waits. Yeah,
and like that's what I was kind of getting at, is that he, in those Insidious special features, because I have all the Blu-rays and I've watched all of those special features numerous times because I really like watching James Wan work. I think he's brilliant. But Patrick Wilson's never been a horror fan. And now he's kind of found himself to be, he's a horror icon from, The Conjuring and Insidious. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see what he comes up with, because I know also Jim Halpert. What's Jim?
Jimothy, Jim Jam, John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, yeah, he crushed A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2, and he also wasn't a horror fan. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what they come up with. But by the time you hear this episode, which I think it's going to drop on Friday, the Insidious: The Green Door trailer will be up for everyone to see.
You can watch it and be like, those guys didn't know what they were gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's everything I got for Boozy's Newsies this week. I just think it's very exciting. We got the last voyage of the Demeter coming out.
You can tell how we're excited we are about it, that we dug up fucking Boozy's Newsies to talk about it. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
And even Boogeyman, I'm excited for it now too. I'm glad we're gonna check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, do you want to talk about 65?
I would like nothing better to talk about 65.
All right. We'll see you all on the other side 65 million years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something alien out there.
Location unknown.
Charter 373. This is Commander Mills. My ship was hit by an undocumented asteroid.
Location unknown.
Transporting 35 passengers
Location unknown.
on a long-range exploratory mission. Send help.
We've crash landed on an uncharted celestial body.
Location unknown.
I don't know where we are.
I've located one survivor.
A child. The atmosphere is breathable. There's something alien out there.
In a world where Adam Driver shoots dinosaurs
Adam
with an
Driver's
overpowered gun.
Adam Driver plays Adam Driver.
Adam Driver has the same haircut all the time.
Adam Driver is Timothy Chalamet. All right. What's up, everyone, and welcome to our main feature where we're going to be talking about 65, which came out a couple weeks ago at this point. I think it just came out at the beginning.
65 million days ago.
65 million days, yeah. The movie is written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who have brought us movies which we already talked about, A Quiet Place. So they wrote A Quiet Place, which ended up being directed by John Krasinski, which really kickstarted their career. But they also wrote and directed the movie Haunt, which I think both of us were fans of. I haven't seen it. I've only seen it the one time, but I remember being pleasantly surprised. They're the writers of the upcoming The Boogeyman, which we just spoke about how stoked we are. Yep. And yeah, they're back with their gigantic $45 million budget dinosaur movie starring Adam Driver.
And in a world where Adam Driver drives a spaceship.
And yeah, the movie's synopsis is an astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet only to discover he's not alone. So Buzi, I want you to lead us off with this, because I know this was one where when the trailer dropped, you immediately messaged me and you're like, dude, someone made a movie for us.
This, if there was a good description of like, hey, if you could bottle a bunch of cool shit that these guys would like and make a movie out of it and have Adam Driver star in it.
Who we fuck with,
this would be it. This, like, it's like I kind of mentioned, it actually is a lot like the story of Turok, the 360 game. If you ever played that one, Turok
2 Seeds of Evil.
Hell, that's
Seed of Evil.
Seeds of Evil. There's a couple of them. Anyway, I just it blows my mind that this got made. It's the same way where, like, after seeing like Underwater, where it's like, wow, they actually gave people a budget to do this shit. Anyway,
a big one.
Yeah. 65, like, what a wild concept for a movie. And I'm sure it has to be like, because they're riding off the coattails of what's left of the Jurassic World steam. I'm sure that probably had to play something into this, because that's the thing, is like stuff like this doesn't get made very often. And it's these kind of weird gems you come out, like, it's especially to have a bigger budget. It's like when, like the Starship Troopers, the Anacondas, it's these random big monster movies that get the huge budget that a lot of them deserve to just be wild and crazy. And this is one of them. Do you want me to just talk about how I feel with it, or do you want to talk
I want to hear your thoughts on it, because this was one that you were very, very excited about. And of course, so was I. But it hasn't. It feels weird saying it's been hard to get out to the theater, and then I just talked about how I saw the Pope's Exorcist. But
well, I mean, that's must see TV, must see on the screen TV.
Yeah, no, but this did come out at a time though where it hasn't been easy. You've been super busy, so you weren't able to get to it in theaters. And like, this is a movie.
I can't believe that we waited so. Yeah, like
this would be day one shit for you.
Yeah. Overall, I think that this is above average, serviceable above average. I think that it kind of does all the character beats you want it to. It has some things that it sets up at the start that pay off later. It has some. It's strange. It has some very cool effects at some point, and then some very bizarre ones that really stick out. I like the concept, like a lot of the design concepts of like the human sort of stuff. The dinosaurs felt very much like a copy and paste from King Kong, like the 2005 one. You know what I'm talking about?
The Peter Jackson one?
Yeah. Do you remember the T-Rexes that were in that one? They kind of look like those ones. It's got the classic, the companion, story.
Yeah. The Last of Us beat that's so hot right now.
Very hot right now.
The father-daughter thing, but they're not father-daughter.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think that this was really good. Was I blown away by it? No, I think it like I had mentioned, it does a great job of those classic beats right down to the finale. It has that very, what would you call it? Like that action movie payoff kind of ending. I thought it was fun watching that. I was, I kind of cheered in parts. They're like the very end with the big baddie.
Man, when I was watching this, because I know we both went in a little bit. We probably went about this movie better than anyone at this point because we were actually excited about it, and then the world kind of poo-pooed on this thing. Super
very
hard.
Much so, yeah,
super hard. Everyone's like calling it mid, but there's not saying obviously everyone can have their own opinion and everything like that, but I think having those like low stakes going into it definitely helped us because you liked it. I liked it. Like I liked 65. But it was also exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Whereas it seems like a lot of people going into this were expecting way more. And that might just be a benefit for me that I wasn't expecting a groundbreaking movie. I just wanted to see Adam Driver shoot fucking dinosaurs. And you did. Yeah.
That's really what you want out of this. Like, are you expecting to get like groundbreaking, like philosophy or
I think there was
any
room
sort of
for that though. That's the thing is like, that's if I have one negative is that there is definitely room for that, but it didn't, I think having my expectations kind of lowered before I went in helped a lot. But also this is coming from a guy who like, I grew up just like you, massive fan of the Jurassic Park franchise. Like I loved the third one when I was younger, and I never saw the latest one. And it's just because like they burnt me, and I'm like, I just don't think I can do it.
You don't need to see Dominion.
I don't think I told you I did start it. Like I tried.
It's bad.
Couldn't do it.
If I hadn't paid to be in a theater to watch it, I would have turned it off. It was that bad.
This is much better than all three Jurassic Worlds, in my opinion.
I know you like the very first one.
Yeah. And see, for me, like this, I don't know. It's just exactly what I was kind of expecting, and I thought the dinosaurs looked awesome, and like that's kind of what we're here for. On a surface level, you can just tell like this is very much inspired by Planet of the Apes. Like this is the Planet of the Apes story, but with dinosaurs, which on paper sounds fucking awesome to me. And I know that originally, I can't remember if they were trying to get it to be Tom Cruise and Adam Driver, or if it was going to be Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
Dude, and I know I think because you have...
No. I'm trying to imagine, like, because he would be, like, insisting on doing his own stunts. So he'd be like, we need to build the dinosaurs for me to interact with.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, the movie, I think it would have been infinitely better if we did have Tom Cruise.
Saw that in a heartbeat.
For sure. But it also would have been double the budget. Like, without a doubt, having Tom Cruise would have been double the budget. And while I know we love Adam Driver, I think a lot of people love Adam Driver. I don't know if he's the box office pull that a lot of people would like. I don't know if they'd agree with us. He's no Tom Cruise, you know, and that's not his fault. He doesn't have a 40-year catalog behind him.
Yeah, and that's also it's kind of a, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but that's kind of also because we know him from Star Wars. I know he's done other things, but that's for a majority of people know him from is being Kylo Ren. But you know, it's notoriously like Star Wars doesn't have a great track record of turning, you know, their stars into stars anywhere else, and that's, you know,
that's
like
fact.
It's other than, you know, obviously Han Solo himself, but you look at everybody else in there, and they really didn't. You know, they all had careers after.
Yeah, they found a career somewhere else.
Yeah, they didn't take off as these big draws. And I agree that Adam Driver probably isn't a draw. He's more of a, you know, he's a good supporting character. But yeah, he does his fucking damnedest in this to be an action.
He does the best he can.
Action Adam.
Yeah, he is Action Adam. No, and he's good in it. I think it's just the problems. If there are problems in this, it's for me, it's that there isn't a lot of room to really tug at your heartstrings the way that they were clearly trying to in some places. And I think that, you know, there are emotional stakes in the story, but they kind of get lost on you because at the end of the day, you're watching a movie about a guy with a gun shooting dinosaurs. Like,
yeah.
So, and then when you have like the relationship between him and Koa and how they have the language barrier, that's where you miss out on those moments that you have in The Last of Us, where they're able to actually talk to each other and develop this relationship. And, you know, I feel like I almost didn't even really pick up on the fact that his daughter died right at the beginning. It was kind of lost on me, where I'm like, that's an emotional beat that could have really been explored a little more. But at the same time, it's such a obscure concept where he's, you know, landing on Earth 65 million years ago, where that it kind of just ends up being, it lives and dies as an action movie. And like the action sequences are cool, but it's not the entire movie. So there's moments of this movie where it does kind of, I wouldn't say I was bored. I've seen a lot of people saying that it was boring. I think it looked better than what people are leading out with. Like a lot of people are saying this, like, I just think it looked good. Like
I think so. There was a couple scenes, honestly, like especially at the start with the like asteroid field. There was a couple, or the asteroid shower. There's a couple scenes that kind of, it looked very jarring to me. But yeah, I agree. I don't know why people are down its throat so much, because like I don't know. I always try and think about like what I could have done, you know, if I was in that position to make it more interesting, or how I would change something in my own way. And not to say that this is bad, but like just to take it to that other level, because it feels like it has all those story beats. It has this great idea of your hero's journey and all the things they have to overcome. It just feels like maybe there was a little bit too much just wandering through the forest at points, but they did a lot of small things that I really liked in this. I love that every time you were about to see the Rex, they cut away from it. That was, you know, they did such a smart job of, you're just about to see it in all these scenes, even somewhere it's like a giant, you know what I mean? Like establishing shot, you're just about to see it walk on the screen. They cut away from it. I love that they built that, like the big baddie tension like that. Yeah, there is that one hilarious moment though, where he finds the T-Rex footprint and he's like, what is this? And then you look up and there's a giant skeleton in front of him. It's like, open your eyes, bud. And
at the same time,
like,
it's an action.
All that stuff's super fun. I love that he is getting chased and he falls in that hole, and he has like a solid like 5 minutes to figure out how to get out of this hole. And that's the other thing too, is like they brought back the quicksand bit. And I was talking about this with a friend who also watched it this weekend. And he's like, man, it's been so long since we've seen like an awesome quicksand bit, because like that's such an amazing beat for action movies. And then we immediately think about Prey. Prey did all of this infinitely better, but I still like, I think we both love Prey so much that this being like a lesser Prey is still fine with me. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one thing I had on my mind the whole time, is this really does feel like it has that blueprint, like Prey did everything in terms of like story elements and how it delivered, like the way you should. Like we both talked about how, like, in essence, Prey is a better told story than the original Predator in terms of like the whole franchise. It's the best. It delivers.
Could very well be the best one. Like,
exactly. I have no shame in that either. Saying that it's
that's a tough one because Predator is really so good.
It is, but it really it does the perfect thing of that you feel rewarded the entire time you're watching it, and every time your character goes through something, your character figures out something at the exact same time you do. You're not thinking ahead, and it feels like those good eureka moments where you're like, we got this. And you're right. It does feel like it, like 65 was so close because it had so many of these ideas. It just never felt like you truly connected that way, and maybe that's because you just truly don't connect with the characters. But and even some of the horror, they could have done so much more. Like, I loved the him wandering around trying to see the escape pods or whatever, but I would have loved if there was more tension in like him finding these escape pods and there being other animals eating it or something. It just or other dinosaurs attacking him. It felt like sometimes they would do that stuff, but it wasn't enough. Like, really immerse me in the fact that you're, give me that Jurassic Park moment of seeing like a giant herd of dinosaurs, give me that moment where it doesn't feel like every dinosaur is planted like an NPC. That's the only thing. It very much felt like they were there to service the story, as opposed to, it felt like they were invading his space, as opposed to the fact that he landed on their fucking planet. Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. I do feel like it's, it is. I really, really want to just be super positive on this because I hate how much it's being hate on, because I don't think it deserves
I really like it. Like, I'm just those are kind of the
it does
things
have its issues though.
Those are the things that separate it from being like a really fucking solid like an Underworld for me, or an Underwater. I mean, like Underwater is such a movie that hit home for me that like kind of came out of nowhere. This was so close to having that same kind of thing. It just I think it didn't connect on the beats.
It was missing that like that sense of wonder that you get from like when you watch. Even I know a lot of people don't like The Lost World. I know you love it, but like and I'm a fan as well. But there's still so much wonder to the dinosaurs and the sequences. But I think that also might have a lot to say about the state of the world that we're living in right now, where it's harder to grasp our attention and really enchant us. And I never once felt that during 65, but I think that there's so much room for that to have been the case, like where we could have felt that. But it's still like at the end of the day, I'm like, I think also coming from us people who just watch everything, there's just so much worse I've seen recently that I just don't like. I don't get the hate for this movie, but I think people are just always going to be mad about things.
That's true, but it's also especially because, like we was talking about, like movies like this are few and far between that gets those budgets. Like even
it's
look
an
at something
insane budget.
But like even look at something like Crawl, like just things that come to the mainstream that you don't see in the big theater. So to have this come out is very monumental. And I doubt it'll get a sequel, but I love that it's just this little standalone dinosaur space movie. How often and that's another thing is this is obviously a reach, but I'm really hoping that maybe this can kickstart something where it's like, hey, maybe there'd be some value in kickstarting the Dino Crisis franchise again. That's that dinosaur space horror.
Unfortunately, Buzi, I think that the way that this movie performed, that has officially laid that to waste.
Darn it. Because I don't know if you guys, like, if anybody ever played Dino Crisis or, knows, awesome, very cool dinosaur in space, especially the sequel. But yeah, I think overall, though, if you like monster movies, that sort of stuff, this, you can do a lot worse than watching this. And I will say that the one thing I really did enjoy that stood out for me, I liked the what would you call it? Like the final boss encounter. That
was the best part of the movie.
Oh my! I thought it was so clever too. I love the using the hologram scene. And we talked about maybe those heartbeat moments not counting as much, but like that one cut through, whereas like I understood,
what they were doing.
Yeah, totally. And you have like that touching moment, and then you cut that with the dinosaur like trying to bite this hologram, and then you have Adam Driver go full like, these dinosaurs had nothing to do with the death of my kid, but I'm gonna take it out on them energy.
That's exactly it. Yeah. No, and I don't know, like there's the one of my big criticisms with it too is like, this is now venturing into spoiler territory. So I do want to give people a chance to dip out if you don't want this spoiled, but I don't think this is the type of movie where what I'm about to say is going to destroy your chance of liking 65. But basically I still say watch it at home, turn the speakers up really loud. It's nothing fucking incredible, but it's also Adam Driver looking handsome shooting dinosaurs. So I don't know. I'm on board for that. But the third, where they introduce the fact that they're literally outrunning the comet. That is such a ridiculous, like the whole concept is ridiculous. I feel like the movie could have really benefited from that being introduced right at the beginning. That automatically adds stakes where it's like, they got to get off this fucking planet before the comet wipes out the dinosaurs. And we kind of are introduced to that plot 3/4 of the way through the movie.
And I agree. And I did like that as a plot element. It's another device of like, oh shit, we better get off the planet. But yeah, you're right. It felt like it should have been in the stakes a lot sooner.
The thing is, if they would have introduced that at the beginning, they wouldn't have had time for the character development. But there was no fucking character development anyways. So it's like, it would have taken out those kind of slower.
Hey, you know what? We needed that scene of Adam Driver drawing a really shitty mountain. His explanation of we have to get here. I was like, come on, man, that's a fucking reach in any dimension.
Yeah,
like
the one,
because the kid's like, oh yeah.
The one emotional beat that I will say did kind of work for me was where they have that language barrier. And he starts like yelling about like how he lied that her parents are fucking dead. Yeah. And she couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm like, that was good, but it just was too little too late, I think, at that part. I don't know. You just lose a lot I understand the whole language barrier thing. And I think that might also be Scott Beck and Brian Woods' thing, because they do that so well in A Quiet Place. But it just didn't really pay off in this particular instance. But
would it made the story any like worse if they could both speak English, and it's just the fact that you have this kid who's
absolutely
scared?
Made it better. Yeah, it would have absolutely. But yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, but if this was real, like that would never happen. They wouldn't be able to speak the same language. It's like, yeah, but you know what also would never happen is a guy crash landing 65 million years ago on fucking Earth to dinosaurs. So like those debates kind of just fold in on themselves for me.
And those are also, that's a story element that I appreciate, and just don't fucking question it when they're, that you're in future technology flying through space and you crash land in, when dinosaurs were.
Yeah. And I know you disagree with me on this for sure. I understand that. But one thing that would have, helped it for me was I was a huge fan of Kong Skull Island and Godzilla versus Kong. And I love that, like the silliness that was in those movies, like the over the top nature. And I understand why, I remember seeing this trailer. I was like, oh, this is absolutely Buzi's version of those movies. But I think that it could have benefited from some silliness, like, because the concept is so silly to begin with.
I think like Adam Driver can also
he's funny.
He would, he's a funny dude. And I totally agree. Just, you mentioning that if they had a couple comedy elements, even between like the kid and him joking around, and then have that juxtaposed with like something terrifying happening directly after. That would have been great. Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and the other thing that I saw, like and the only reason I'm bringing all this up is because we're watching this, a month after it came out. So I'm able to see all the reviews and see what people are thinking. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that like, this is going to be like the official death in original ideas, because that's the thing is like, this is an original idea, original IP. It's not connected to anything, and it's bombing. So it's going to, affect movies in a whole. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
But
yeah, that's 65 is not carrying that mantle of
no,
bullshit.
I think there's many other examples that you could pull from that.
100%.
But this one seems like an easy target right now, which
Yeah.
is weird. It seems weird that people would be rooting against a movie like this. But yeah, it's the world that we're living in. I think it was a tremendous swing, and I wouldn't say that it fully connected, but
I'm happy. I'm happy.
I didn't hate it.
here. I honestly, I would love to own a physical and check out some of the bonus features for this.
I would. That's something I would like to see. I'd like to see the behind the scenes on this, because I don't know, like even like so much heart was put into it. It just it's a difficult situation where you're trying to convey humanity with two characters who can't really communicate with each other, and then you're put in this like kind of absurd situation. It's understandable that it's like this isn't an easy feat to pull this off. But I don't think it's the train wreck that a lot of people are saying it is. But it's also one like I'm probably gonna forget about this in a couple months.
I feel like I'm gonna at least come and watch this like one or two more times, and maybe I'll grow. It'll be like a fine wine, and I'll grow to appreciate it more. But yeah, I've watched a lot worse things. I've watched way worse things.
Yeah. Well, that was, So do you have anything else you want to mention about 65?
I guess the only other question I wanted to ask for you, because it's obviously one of the biggest parts of this movie, is what did you think of the dinosaur designs themselves?
I thought they looked great. Like that was like the shining star. Like that's, to me, I was kind of expecting it to look really hokey. And I'm like, Jurassic Park is such a marvel because the fact that movie came out in the 90s and still looks as good as it does. And those were primordial, like they were so heavily practical, covered, like, and with VFX. I just feel like this one, it looked way better than I was expecting.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Sorry, there's somebody outside yelling at.
No, there were some moments where I don't know. I don't think the dinosaurs were any of the problem in this.
No, I it's just that, that's a big part of it. And we're sticklers for, our werewolves, our Bigfoots, so on and so forth. So I did really like it too. And I love that there was like a bigger baddie than the T-Rex. That was
It's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, always a bigger fish. And I thought the very creative ending for the whole thing, it was much better than just running a dinosaur over with a spaceship or some shit. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know how much more I can say about it.
This one's pretty
fun.
Surface level.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope we've convinced people to give it a shot. If you hated it, don't blame us. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah. It's an okay movie.
Absolutely. Well, so that's about going to do it for this episode. But I think a couple things that we'll mention is that we will be back. We're going to be off for I think this movie is going to come out on April 21st. And then Buzi and I are both going to be away from our homes for a week or so. I'll be in Calgary. If you hear this on the Friday and you're in Calgary, The Druid's Hand is playing April 22nd at the Globe Cinema in Calgary at Calgary Underground Film Festival. I will be there, so come on and check it out.
Super exciting. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to that, and then I'm gonna head home for a week. So I'll hopefully see you at least once or twice while I'm there. I'm gonna come back to Saskatchewan. But in May, we are going to do haunted house flicks.
So fucking excited for that.
Yeah. And I think the only people we have locked in so far is we're going to be bringing on Daniel Epler of Cobwebs, one of our good buddies.
We love Daniel.
Absolutely. And Hayden Gilbert is going to be joining him on that episode as well, which is like Hayden was on the episode for Crimson Peak, which we did just before Christmas. He's a blast.
That was fun.
That episode, we're going to be talking about The Uninvited from 1941 and House by the Cemetery. So this gives you a little bit of a chance.
Is that the oldest film we've covered then?
No, because we did Dracula. Dracula was 1931, yeah. But we'll be, doing that. And then we don't know what we're going to do for the other episodes in what I'm dubbing Ghost Season with SZN.
Oh, man. I'm going to go take a look and see if I can pull up something fun for us to watch, possibly.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll be back. We'll be back in May to be talking about some ghost movies. But once again, thank you so much for listening to the Terror Table.
Thank you as always.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Anything else, Buzi? Anything you want to mention?
You know what? Go check out those trailers that we had mentioned before. Check out the Boogeyman and the Voyage. Those
Voyage of
both look,
Demeter.
yeah, those both look incredible. And maybe like let us know if there's any other good trailer, because there's always cool shit coming out and we don't always catch it. I can't remember the name offhand, but Bryson sent me a trailer for a film the other day that I didn't know was coming out, and I was like, holy shit. Anyway, I wish I could actually remember it, but that's, you know what, if you see anything cool, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us up on Instagram. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Terror Table, and we will see you next time. Terror Tots.
Ooh, delicious Terror Tots.